Hi, welcome back to the Gabster channel. I'm Gaby. I'm going to talk today about the TDA1541A chip. In this video, I tested about 16 TDA1541A chips, and so I had a big pool, and there were some I pulled from CD players myself. There were dead CD players. Some I bought from very reliable sources, and I was pretty assured that they were correct. And some I bought from really suspicious places like eBay, and some are just super suspicious places like AliExpress. And we'll talk about all these later. But we're going to be testing those, we're going to grade them, so I'm going to do it in a blind test so I don't actually know which one is which, and come up with the final analysis of all of them and see what I thought was right or if I was wrong. I then proceeded and put some tape just to cover them because I wanted this to be a blind test, and I even mixed them up a little bit just to make sure they get really mixed up, just in case I have any memory of any of them. And I started giving them numbers as I listened to them. The setup I'm using is my basically IanCanada streamer with the Gabster TD1 Dac, supplied by also IanCanada's UC Pure. I'm using a very basic spectrum analyzer. I did a video on this setup in the past. I'll put a link for it in the description below. And it uses a free software, Roon. It's basically, this is like a good setup, but you know, this is not state-of-the-art equipment, but it does give you a lot of information, and it's a good guide. At least give you something to test against one chip to another. On each chip, I played a few songs and I listened carefully to them. I also measured a spectrum analyzer, a shot at 1 kilohertz and at 10 kilohertz. Most of the spectrum analyzer measurements were very close to each other between chips. There wasn't a huge difference, very, very minor difference. Unless there was a couple bad chips, then I could see some differences there. Other than that, most of the decent ones and the really good ones measured about the same. Then when I listened, I actually ranked each chip on a score from basically, I would say, let's say 7 to 10, because they all sounded all right. They weren't like completely bad or anything. So I measured from 7 to 10. I did the imaging, like the 3D holographicness and the 3D imaging, the musicality, the bass, the treble, and the mid. And what I mean by the mid-range, for example, is just how the vocals were, how the breath of the person sounded, and all those kind of details. Same with the treble. So it's not just about the frequency, it's about all the details within that frequency. And I ranked them again around between 7 and 10. And I made a big sheet of all of them to compare. And remember, this was all a blind test, as I had all the chips covered with green tape. So I did not know which chip was which, so I did not have my decision influenced by that. It was completely blind. After the listening test, I started peeling the tape off the chips to see which one is which, and boy, was I surprised. Some of them are like I did not expect. So basically, that was with the tape on. So what I did is I peeled some of the tape off, and I just kept a little number so I know which one is which, because I didn't want to keep the tape on the chips too long in case it affects the writing on it. So I put a smaller chip, because now I've done my test, I don't have to worry about being blind. So I put the numbers to see exactly what happened and how actually they ranked. But I was a big time surprised, as a lot of what I thought would be great chips were okay. Some of the okay ones were great. And what surprised me, for example, is those two chips, I bought them from eBay. Actually, their CS2 is double crowned. Yeah, right. I thought, I'm pretty sure the crowns are fake, maybe even the chips, I'm not sure, I have no idea. They weren't cheap, but they weren't overly expensive, so I took the gamble. I said, it's more of an experiment for me. So I bought 2 of those chips, and like after the blind test, I had no idea that one that I was actually loved, it was like amazing, and it was one of them, and one was okay, like it wasn't terrible, but it was good, but not as great as the other one for sure, and it was kind of slightly lamish. And they're both from the same place, from the same batch, they look identical. So that really threw me off. Just goes to tell you that it's almost so impossible to really gauge. You really have to buy a couple here and there and listen to them to yourself and see and decide for yourself. Be wary from things that have crowns on them. Often these crowns are just stamped after the fact, unless you've really seen it yourself or taken it from a CD player yourself or know someone that has done it, or like a very, very reliable source, then most likely there's a chance they may not be. They could be real, like it's hard to tell. It's a mixed bag of everything. And here you see that I've taken all the tape from all of them, but I kept the numbering so I know which one is which. So to make the final result simple, I divided the results into 3 sections. The one that I loved the most, that's this row right here. The middle row here, the middle group here, that they were really good. It's just not as amazing as the other ones. And a couple of the ones that are a bit lame. They worked. It just they're not inspiring. So let's start with the first group and just go through it a little bit and just give you some of my observation. So on the bottom row, the first 3 here, these I got from a legit place, or I pulled them myself from a CD player. These are real S1 chips, and they did test well, and actually mostly sounded really good. And that's why they're in that group. Among them is the double crown one, which I bought from eBay, and surprisingly, it tested it, and mostly it actually sounded really good, as amazing as the other one. So I was like really surprised, because the second one is actually in the lame group at the very top, and they were both bought from the same place. And they're both, I think they're somewhat, I don't know what's fake about them, but I believe usually sometimes they're actual TDA chips and they add the stamps on them maybe. I'm not sure, someone could chime on that. But nevertheless, one sounded amazing and one sounded lame, and that's a blind test. That's after revealing all the green tape. The second row, they're basically as good as the first row, and they're some Taiwanese chips from the 97 year, and also there's an R1 chip. Do not shy of R1 chips, especially the early ones. For some reason they were good, but the later year ones, they weren't as good for some reason. That was kind of my observation. I could be wrong there, but that's kind of my observation. And this one I think I pulled from a CD player myself. I can't remember which one. So these are the really amazing chips. And this one has no S's or crowns or anything. So that goes to tell you. Now on the second group here, and that's the one that performed really well, sounded good. Just not as super amazing as the other group, but these are still considered really, really good chips. So don't put them down in any way. And as you can see, there's a few from Taiwan from 98 era, and some are, actually these are all from the same batch actually. And we've got here, this one is from the 88, and among them is another R1, which also sounded great. So it just goes to tell you, do not shy off the R1 chips. But again, I've had a couple of R1 chips before from later years, and they didn't sound as good as these. I don't have them anymore. But just to tell you, not every R1 sounds good. And that's what's the controversy about that R1 chip. I think at the beginning, they were marketing them as the good chips, and later on, they were more like the more relaxed, soft chips. So it is hard to tell, but some of them are pretty darn amazing. And the last group is the two that were a little bit lame. And one of them is a double crown one, which I think are fake, that I bought from eBay. But for some reason, that one ended up in the end of the last bin. And this one is the one I bought from AliExpress, supposed to be a really nice TDA1541A. They sent me a regular old TDA1541 from the year 87, and it was looked a bit beat up, but that's not the thing. It did not sound good. Anyway, I'm not sure if all the non-A version would sound lame as well, but I don't think so. I don't have experience with a lot of them, but this one definitely did not sound good. All right, the big question, which I would like some of you to help me out with, which I still don't have the answer for, are there some chips? It seems like they're still manufactured in China right now, and they are branded like the old way, and they're selling them because there seem to be some abundant chips off China coming. You see them on different websites, and I've bought, like I said, a couple of them. It's been a hit and miss situation. Or is it they're just grabbing some old chips and putting some crown on them, or maybe both? So maybe someone that has a bit of knowledge on this subject could actually comment below, because like I said, I don't know everything about this chip. Also, as you notice, you're going to find out that not even some of the ones bought from suspicious places ended up being really good chips, and some did not. So it was very, very surprising test. So to summarize, I would try to buy chips from well-known sources if you can. If you can find dead CD players, take some of the chips from them. Please don't destroy good running CD players, because that's kind of like not a good thing to do. And these are vintage, like really historic pieces that shouldn't be destroyed. But if it's dead and unrepairable, then yeah, take it out. Now removing a chip is super hard. You need some really good high-end equipment to like maybe a Heiko desoldering gun or something like that to be able to take them out safely without destroying them. The other way is to buy them from a reliable source, or someone that have tested them, someone that they are legit people. They're not just selling toys and other things, and they have no idea what they're selling. And but again, like I said, it's a hit and miss situation. I think the best is to get a few chips, maybe 3 or 4, and listen to them yourself. And this is how you can. The measuring, they all measure. You'll find out later that they all measure pretty close, except just a couple measured not so great, but the majority measured almost very similar to each other. There wasn't a huge differences, but they did sound different. And so that goes to tell you, if you don't have any measuring equipment, don't fret, because you really don't need it to tell which one is good or bad. This is my analysis, and at the end, if you lasted this long, you're probably going to get the good scoop here, is the difference between a good chip and I won't say a bad. I'm going to grade them into 3 categories, like the excellent ones, the really good ones, and the lame ones. The differences between the 3D imaging, they all have that 3D imaging, and they all sound good in that domain. Where they differ, it seems to be more in the mid-range. A really good chip seems to have a better mid-range than some of the not so really good. And the lame ones definitely suffer in that department. And the lame ones suffered also in the imaging as well. So If you are trying, for example, my Gabster TD1 Dac, and you find that the imaging is good, everything is great, but just the mid-range is not that perfect, you probably don't have an excellent TDA chip, and I would strongly suggest you try at least 2 or 3 and just to test them and focus on the mid-range, because that's where the differences lie. Also, there is a slight difference in the imaging. Some of the better chip has slightly more holographic imaging. The base seems to get a little bit lousy on some of the lesser chips. The high frequency seems to be almost good on most of them. So this gives you some ideas on what to look for and what to listen for. So if your Gabster TD1 is lacking in the mid-range, I strongly suggest you look for a better chip. You might find that after that you will actually succeed and get as close as possible to that holy grail sound. I will be selling some of my chips, but I did not make this video because I don't have that many to sell, to be honest with you, and definitely won't be selling my really good, my excellent ones, because I've worked hard to find those, and I paid a fortune to get those. Also, in the process, I've destroyed 2 TDA chips, either by reversing them or reversing the polarity on the, but that's a story. So there's losses, you pay duties, you pay all this stuff. Trust me, at the end, it's not really worth it. But I don't need all these chips. I'll probably gonna be selling my good ones and also some of the couple of the lame ones. Maybe those lame ones, they still sound all right, but they're great for someone setting up their system, because you really do not want to use a really expensive chip when you're still having the first time you're powering your TDA, because this is the most likely when you're going to fry it. And you really don't want to destroy a $500-600 chip when, you know, just like that. Also, a great tip not to destroy your chips is if you are using UC Pure, like the Ultra Capacitors, those things can send a lot of amperage. So if you reverse something, you're going to fry it instantly. Some people have reversed their chips or did something with the polarity and did not destroy the chips because their power supply was using a small amount of watts, like 150 milliamps, the guy told me, and he got hot, but it didn't get destroyed. So what I suggest you do, you know where there's a fuse in your UC Pure on IanCanada's UC Pure Mark 3s and Mark 2s, take that fuse out and put a 150 milliamp fuse, or even 100 actually. I would put probably 100 milliamp fuse, because the TDA only uses 50. And this way, if you reverse something, if something goes wrong, you're not going to fry it. And maybe later on, once everything is working great, you can pull those low fuses and put the big 8 amp one back again if you want. But start with a 100 milliamp fuse on all 3 of them, the 5 volt ones as well. And this way, if disaster happens, you don't fry anything. Not only you will fry your TDA, you could fry your FIFO-Q7. I've done that already. I have 2 of them that are fried. I've fried 2 TDA chips, but I move things all around all day 50, 100 times, so mistakes are bound to happen. And don't think you're immune. It will happen, it's just a matter of when. I'm going to put in the corner up here about my Gabster TD1. In the corner here, I'm going to put a video about my Gabster TD1 Dac, the original one, the first one. And in here, I'm going to put 10 songs that you can listen to on your TDA chip to actually, that helps you differentiate between one chip and another. There'll be a speaker in the middle if you'd like to subscribe. My Patreon link is in the description, and I'll hope to see you again in another video. Take care.